and welcome to Asking Autistics, an autism podcast by autistic people. I am your host, Lindsey Brains and Spoons.
And my name is Ribera Bonbon.
And today we are joined by our friend Eryk, who is an amazing, amazing content creator and just human in general. Eryk, can you tell folks just a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. I am an autistic adult with ADHD. I also have chronic illness, lupus, and I am a storyteller. That's the simplest way to put it. Whether it's creating art or even in the work I do within the field of education or through my blogs or my content creation on TikTok and YouTube, it's all about telling stories, whether it's the silly stories that I tell, pretending to be a tiny person wandering through the forest, or poems that I write, or the more serious discussions I have around chronic illness, mental health, and how I cope with living in a world not built for me. It's all about stories. And so that's why I like to say at the end of the day, I'm a storyteller. And I am celebrating hitting 100,000 followers on TikTok, which was really exciting. It's exciting. I'm also like, it's like those things where you don't feel like you earned it. But because it's like, I don't know what I did. Like, you can't point to anything you did and say, oh, I'm an amazing storyteller. I word vomit half the time. I've just somehow found the people who like my word vomit, if that makes sense. Like, I don't use fancy equipment. I don't have some great strategy. Like, I could never tell you how I did it because like my biggest video, like 1 million views, is literally me sitting with my pearls, wearing a bonnet, drinking tea while some sad, depressing song is playing. Literally, that's the video. That's it. No thought went into it, no planning, no strategy. And I just threw it up there for fun. And I'm actually angry at this point. Like,
that's what takes off. It's the accidental stuff, but I think it's the authenticity that draws people in, is that you are who you are. It's not this big production and an act. And I think that really resonates, especially with other neurodivergent people. I think finding other autistic adults is something all of us have struggled with and really sought out, because we did feel so maybe alone, but more like an alien. We felt like, I don't belong here in neurotypical society and stuff. And I always felt a little off. And then finding a neurodivergent community, finding people that you can connect with online is such like this validating experience of like, oh, wow. Okay. I get this. It might be weird. It might be silly, but we both are.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that is the one thing I will say I'm proud of, is letting myself be seen. Because that was a lot of hard work. I should say that is the one thing, is letting myself just be whatever I am, wherever I am, on camera. Because I always felt like an alien, felt like I didn't belong, was laughed at, made fun of, for just being the weird kid, the weird person in the room. And somewhere along the way, a lot of work, some therapy, I think the biggest thing was getting my autism diagnosis when I was 39. So I am turning 44 this year. So about 5 years, actually it has been about literally 5 years ago, because it was the month I had my birthday. I got my autism diagnosis, and I remembered just this relief, your anguish, all this stuff. But then it started me on this journey of reframing so much of my life and understanding that moments when I thought I was being pathetic or a loser or just this weirdo was just me being me, or I was in a situation that I was not built for. Which is why I loved like the car analogy for, neurodiversity, that like most neurotypical people are like a mid-level SUV. They can be on the road, they can be on the dirt, they can do a little bit of everything. And some can really push themselves and excel in one way or another. Whereas a neurodiverse person is like a specialized vehicle. You think of like the Indy cars, those little like, they're really fast, they're really super low to the ground. They cannot go off-road. Or you think those monster trucks,
My autism is like a scooter.
I love it.
I can go way faster than I'm supposed to, and I will crash multiple times. It's not an if, it's when. And when I do crash, Just pray you're wearing a helmet because I may kill you.
I love it. No,
I would say that you're the weather. You're highly susceptible to weather and outside influences as a scooter.
Oh yeah, considering how many times I've ate shit on Hollywood Boulevard because there was a single droplet of rain that hit my tire.
She really does ride a scooter, so that's why she's like,
yeah, I ride a scooter. That's where this analogy is coming from. My scooter is me.
You as a person, though, have a lot of weather-related sensory sensitivities, though.
I do. I really do.
And so that idea of you being, on a scooter or being a scooter, like, would make sense. I think all of us, and honestly, I don't know any autistic people who don't have sensory issues. I feel like it's in the diagnostic criteria for a reason, right?
Yes.
Like I don't want to say if you don't have sensory issues, you're not autistic, because, autism is such a spectrum. But I feel like the biggest problem with sensory issues and our knowledge and discussions around sensory issues is that we don't fully know how to verbalize the spectrum that is sensory issues. Because, so many autistic people are hypersensitive and so many are hyposensitive. And we don't realize that you can be both of those things in different areas.
Oh, absolutely.
And so, yeah, and we don't know how to verbalize that a lot of the time. So a lot of people who claim to not have sensory issues just don't realize when they are experiencing them.
Or we were taught that our sensory issues aren't real. Because for a long time, I would tell myself, my light sensitivity isn't real. That's stupid. No one has a problem just because the lights are bright. That doesn't make any sense. It's ridiculous. So I would gaslight myself. And the problem I have with things like ABA therapy and I do love occupational therapy. I did it and I got a lot out of it. Mm-hmm. But sometimes that stuff is just designed to twist us until we can fit into the box society wants us to be in, which is why, autistic people should not only be running our own podcasts, we should be in those spaces making those decisions on how that training functions. Because, all right, I'm not going to go down that road too far, but my point is sometimes we're taught to ignore our sensory issues to make the neurotypicals around us comfortable.
Weirdly enough, with the big light thing, which is that's a very common sensory issue for a lot of autistic people, like light overstimulating them and needing to keep the lights dimmer. I actually exist on that opposite spectrum where I am a rare autistic person who needs bright light, which I don't know if it's because I'm hyposensitive to light or if it's just because I have a very very bad eyesight. Like when I went to the eye doctor and they shine the light and they're supposed to like see how well your eyes can retain light, and like there's this little like gel thing in your eyeballs that's supposed to be really thick. Mine is like almost non-existent. Like my eye doctor took so many pictures of it because he couldn't see it that well, and it causes me to not be able to see as well in dim lighting or in the dark. Like James and I went to Disneyland, which is like my safe space. We went to Disneyland a couple of weeks ago, and when we were going into Indiana Jones, which is the line for that is very dim because it's supposed to replicate being on an archaeological dig, I was blind almost completely.
Oh, wow.
I could not see, and I had to have James guide me through it. So I am the opposite kind of autistic who is actually a big light lover. I need the big light or else I can't see a thing.
Wow. I guess I don't know if there is treatment for that from a medical perspective. They're just like, just good thing you live in California where it's sunny. Like that's
That's literally what they said. Like, actually, that is what they said. They were like, you're lucky you live in a sunny state because your eyes are terrible. And it's not something that glasses can fix either. It's just, I can't see in dim light. I am practically blind. I can see when I'm like driving in the dark, except I don't drive because I am a don't drive autistic. But I don't like to drive at night specifically for this issue. And apparently it's only going to get worse with age. So
like so many things, and that people aren't going to want to believe that, but it does. As we age, a lot of health issues like get exacerbated. I struggle with driving. That is also a common autistic experience. Some people really like it because they can focus when they drive. I have BVD, which is an eye condition that I had to wear special glasses for and do like a little therapy for, but it makes driving at night, like the lights and things, I also sometimes have an astigmatism, so like, but it makes lights and things very reflective, and it gives me headaches, and I can't. That makes it so I can't see, but that's because my eyes are like shoving things together in ways that they shouldn't. They're not focusing well. But also, driving is really hard, especially if you have ADHD mixed in, because there's so many different variables, and you can get overstimulated really easily.
Yeah, whereas for me, I like driving.
Yeah, there you go.
Like I like driving. In fact, I prefer to be driving. Just a control thing, but it's I don't know, especially if it's like it's a weird sort of awareness. I don't know how to explain it. In fact, I used to tell when I was learning how to drive, I made the mistake of telling my parents that like I feel like I'm the car, and I imagine myself as the car moving along, and that's how I handle it. And my mom was like, "Don't tell that to your dad." And it's like I guess, and looking back, I could kind of see for a neurotypical person how that would sound weird. But for me, that's literally what like when I'm driving, because I am very sensitive to sensations. So I can sometimes, especially if I'm in a hypersensitive mode, I can feel all four tires moving. I can feel each little bump in the road. I'm very aware of it. And it's not a bad thing if I'm driving. If I'm not behind the wheel and I can't check out, then I feel all the physical sensations and I don't know what it was. You know what I'm like? Because when I'm driving and I see the crack, I'm like, okay, that's going to hit the right wheel. That's going to hit the left wheel, or I'm going to, or it's not going to. The front tires aren't going to feel it. The back tires will feel it. And so I'm like narrating the experience as I'm driving, and it works quite well. But if I'm not behind the wheel and I don't know what the person's doing when they're steering or when they're braking or the distance they're like, I don't know if they're calculating all these things that I am calculating in my head when I'm driving. And, and so then it can stress me out. I can be a really bad backseat driver, or I have to completely check out and just say, if I live, I live. If I don't, oh well, and just play a game on my phone. And,
I think that is a key component and strategy that a lot of autistic adults use, is that if we can control the situation, then it is, I don't want to say a more pleasing, but it is a doable sensory situation. If we are not in control of the situation, if it's out of our hands, that's when things get out of control. And then my reactions start escalating.
Yes.
And that makes it even worse.
That's how I feel with music in particular. I cannot handle other people's music at specific decibels. Like, I can't handle loud music when it's anybody else's. But if it's my music, I have to have it to a specific volume that is louder than most people like. But like, if I'm in control of it, I like it. I like a certain sensory experience. There are certain things with music and like noise that I will never like, no matter if I'm in control or if I am not. Like I can't handle the sound of bass. Like you know what I'm talking about? Like with speakers, that noise that happens.
Oh, like if it distorts it?
Yes, I can't handle that at all, at any decibel, because I'm very hypersensitive, specifically to deep sounds. Because for me, deep sounds, you can't just put headphones on. You can't escape them because they resonate in my entire body, and I don't like the way they feel in my chest. Like, and it's not even like an imaginary sensation. I
No,
can
it's
physically
real.
feel it in my
It's
chest.
real.
I can't handle a lot of the opposite. High pitched sounds are really unsettling for me. And so I wear noise canceling headphones when I walk my dog. I wear noise canceling headphones at the park because what to some people is really relaxing, nature sounds or being, ambient noise is very unsettling for me. It's too many. There's so many layers, and like I live in a city, and so I am used to noise, but I don't handle all the layers of noise very well. And so the fact that like I can wear headphones, I could tell people think I'm rude. There's multiple cashiers and people that I see on a frequent basis that they are like, oh, her, and they'll talk louder. They'll try to do the customer service banter instead of just letting me tap and go. But yeah, noises are a big one for me. And so I live in these. Our Asking Autistics community group people overwhelmingly suggest, that you wear some sort of headphones. A number of people said they can't handle the big over ear ones. They need it to be small or lighter, I've got like these, like they'll use like earbuds type things. And then a number of people suggested like this kind of thing. These are from Flair. They're like calmer. They don't sponsor me. I just have a pair. I can't handle having things inside of my ear for very long.
Same.
Not only does it get uncomfortable to almost a painful level, but I also one of those fun comorbidity, which just things. I have so many health issues. I have like developed a skin condition inside my ears, or maybe it was always already there and I just started trying to use these. More, it irritates. So like my ears will bleed if I put things in them. Yeah, eventually. Like it gets so irritated. I know. Like I'm like a horror movie. Like I'm so allergic to dairy and nobody knew and doctors didn't help me for years. And so I was just like projectile vomiting all the time.
Oh my gosh.
And then could you just imagine people are like, oh, Lindsey's gotta be so fun to be around. No, I'm not. I was like the poltergeist for years. And now I'm like another horror movie where I'm like bleeding out of my ears just random times during the day. So anyway, sensory stuff is a struggle for me.
Yeah, no, it's
so
valid.
I don't leave my house all that much, honestly. I've especially post, COVID, that we're living in this kind of society that I am somebody who does like being around other people. And I have pivoted to building online communities because in person things are just overwhelming for me now.
Seriously is. The music thing I get, my problem with other people's music is that they're not playing the right music for the moment. Cause my tastes are all over the place because what I need is different. So like sometimes like I love, like if I'm thinking really hard, I need music without words. But then it's, do I need classical music or do I need something like lo-fi or study beats? But even then, do I need something at a faster pace or a slower pace? And so I'll cycle through songs until I find the one that just like my brain purrs. I don't know how else to say it. And it's like, okay, I can work with this one and then I can focus and I can do what I'm doing or whatever. But if it's the wrong song or the wrong track, then it's nails on a chalkboard and is driving me insane. And even volume, like sometimes I need it low and sometimes I need it high, but I also have tinnitus. So if my tinnitus is really bad, I need louder volumes. And for me with the deep tones, I also feel it, but for me, it's comforting. It's not dysregulating. And so I like to feel the sound in my body. If it's the wrong song for the moment, even if it's songs with words, like if I need pop music and someone's playing rap music, I'm angry. If I need rap music and someone's playing pop music, I'm angry. Like it's so hard to explain that it's based on mood. And my playlists are actually named after like chemicals. Like I have dopamine, cortisol, serotonin. I think I had acetylcholine for a while. Because, like, it's playlist specifically built for if I know what my brain needs. Yeah, Adderall, which is not really, whatever. Anyway, one's Adderall, serotonin, cortisol, dopamine, and melatonin. Oh, I got rid of acetylcholine. Oh, well. Anyway, and then, like, the picture is the actual, like, chemical. And because then it's like, when I find tracks that produce that for me, it goes in that playlist. And every now and then I got to update it. Yes. Dopamine changes out the most. That one just, I'll listen to it and be like, none of this is going to be dopamine. And then I'm angry and I rebuild it, But because music can change my mood or it can like steady my mood, if that makes sense.
That's how I am with YouTube videos. Like for me, if I'm focusing, I cannot listen to music. I cannot listen to music at all, whether it's classical or whether it's got words in it. It's for some reason, if I'm trying to focus on something, it's going to jumble up everything in my head. But if I turn on a video essay on YouTube or Markiplier playing Five Nights at Freddy's, I can work. I can do things. It works for me. Only if I put it on the TV. Like if I have two sounds coming out of the same speaker, that's not going to work. But if I'm like editing something, even though I'm like listening and focusing on the sounds of the video or podcast that I'm editing, I can put a swoop doc on the TV and I'll be able to focus on that because I have the swoop doc playing, because I have something. Yeah. I don't know why it is. I do not know. It makes my brain purr, so I'm okay with it.
Okay. I have to have silence when I'm video editing.
Yeah, same. I've got the headphones on. I have to hyper focus and I it's like my brain will tune out the whole rest of the world then, and we're just doing the one thing.
I put it on a low volume. Like it can't be at too high of a volume, but just having that, maybe it's, you know what I think it is? I think it's that it feels like I'm body doubling with somebody.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. It feels like another person is in the room with me, giving me permission to do what I'm doing. Even if they're like talking about their own thing,
Yeah.
It feels like somebody is talking to me. And I think now that I think about it, I think that's what it is.
And that's, and all this like just reinforces that reality that autism is a spectrum. And I think that's the other thing the reason why I have that issue sometimes with things like ABA therapy and things like that is that a lot of times when you really look at the materials, it tries to treat autism like a monolith, as though everyone's gonna respond to this thing the same way. And, like Lindsey was saying, and the comorbidities is real. Like I get ear infections a lot. So the earbuds I have are those bean-shaped ones Samsung came out with a while back that were not very popular, but they don't go deep in my ear, but they fit in my ear if I need earbuds, but they don't go in my ear canal, so they don't give me an ear infection. Whereas when I used to wear the AirPods all the time, I get ear infections anyway for some stupid reason, but like I will get, if something's in my ear too much, like if I have the loop earplugs that I'll use sometimes for like meetings. But I've got to remember to clean them that day, and I can wear them for if the meeting runs more than 2 or 3 hours, I've got to go get my headphones and just have them on with the noise canceling on, because one of the rooms that we keep meeting in, for some reason, even though I've said over and over again, there's a weird noise, but I guess nobody else hears it.
Oh my gosh, the amount of times that I will tell people it's too much, like, and they look around and they're like, what noise are you possibly hearing? And maybe they'll hear, like a buzzing from a refrigerator or something on occasion. I think that most neurotypicals are unaware of what their brain naturally tunes out. For a lot of people, your brain will naturally tune out your own bodily functions. It'll tune out. So like the way your own breath smells, the way your own body odor smells, you get used to, and your brain just is like, we're going to ignore that. And the sounds of your body, most people don't pay attention to that. Okay. Like their brain just tunes it out. And like that, those little tiny noises that are there all the time. Yeah, I know. Right. Because mine doesn't.
Right.
But that's normal. That's normal, you guys, is that for a lot of people, their brain just tunes it out because it would drive them crazy otherwise. And then you realize, I'm being driven crazy all the time because I am sometimes hyper aware of every sensation in my body.
Yes.
And it's overwhelming. And like, I'm going to like cry just thinking about it. And because it's awful.
Yes.
I feel my individual taste buds and I don't want to do that.
Right. Oh, that's not very often for me, thankfully, but like.
Yeah, it's not very often, but in those moments, it's like, there's a reason why people self-medicate, okay? Is because like, we need to dampen those sensory experiences because they are overwhelming.
Absolutely. Like there is one room in one of the buildings of my college that we had class in twice a week for this past semester, And that room, there is a window that does not have a window on it, so it's constantly open, and this is on like the 5th floor. So because it's on the 5th floor, you constantly hear the wind blowing. And the wind is my enemy. The wind and I, we are not bros, okay? In any sense of the word. Everything about wind overstimulates me. It is just awful, the way that it blows my hair around, the way that it feels on my body, and especially the sound it puts in my ears. So every single time we were in this class, I was suffering. And I was just like, it was hard for me to pay attention. That's part of the reason I almost failed this class this past semester, was because I couldn't always pay attention, because I was having like panic in my whole body. And that's another thing that I don't think people realize. Sensory issues can manifest like, it's not always physical pain in your brain. Sometimes specific sensory experiences just put your body into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Your body has a literal trauma response to these noises, which is another reason why a lot of people don't realize that they are experiencing sensory sensitivities. So like, some sounds for me are physically painful. Some sensations, like when the lights go dim, it is like physically painful for me because I can't see. But when I'm experiencing wind, I'm not in pain. My body is just in fight or flight, and I cannot escape it.
Yeah. Well, it just throws you off. And then when that's prolonged, you start experiencing, I'm guessing, I don't know about you, but I start experiencing other physical symptoms because I've been in a stressed state of mind for way too long. So, for example, if the lights are wrong, I will start to get nauseous because again, my body is ready to run away, so it's pulling blood from the organs, and now I'm dealing with nausea. And if it, and I have mild asthma, but if I get into fight or flight for too long, it can trigger what's like a mild asthma attack, and my chest starts tightening, I start having trouble breathing. And the thing that people don't always realize, in fact, my rheumatologist, not the one I have now, thankfully, but the one before this one, did not understand when I tried to explain, because he would say, well, it looks like your diet's good and this is good. I don't see why you're still having flares. And I was like, and prolonged anxiety is an autoimmune trigger. So if I'm in a poor sensory situation for too long, I will have an autoimmune flare. So if it's, for example, if it's a no pants day, because sometimes I can't wear pants, I have to wear shorts or a kilt. That's why I wear kilts a lot, because for me, it's sensory friendly. And if I have to wear pants on a no pants day, I will have a flare the next day because it will physically hurt. There are days where I feel all my nerve endings. I can't explain how, I don't know why, but I can feel all my nerve endings and they are on fire. And thankfully, I'm very thankful that I have a partner who understands that and understands that if I am a hedgehog, as I like to say, like, just don't touch me, I'll flip out. It's not like my children, they know it's not personal. It's just where I'm at. And I just got to calm down. But yeah, people don't always realize that ignoring the sensory issues, whether it's for themselves or other people, all you're doing is causing harm. Even if that person is able to somehow, shove it down and behave in that moment, there is damage, sometimes permanent damage, happening inside because we're not giving space to that. And it's so easy to be supportive. Like, there's one of the guys at work, I explain all my sensory issues and stuff. And now if ever I'm like, I need to headbutt you, I don't know why, but it's just like, I'll just bump my head into his shoulder. And it's such a calming thing. It's just this very comforting stim. And
okay, I thought I was the only one who does that, because I do that.
You do that? Really?
I do that with James.
Yes.
Literally, like, we call it bonk. Like, we call it, because my cat does it, Dr. Mew. So we call it Dr. Bonk. And so, like, occasionally if I am feeling overwhelmed and overstimulated, I just go up to James and I'm just like, bonk. And it works. It works.
Yes.
That's our thing. That's one of the ways he helps calm me down, is just a little bonk.
That sounds to me a little bit of like somatics, like somatic therapy. I bet you if we had an expert in here, they would explain what that was doing, like how that helped your nervous system. Because you know how there's some things like if you can squeeze yourself. What is somebody recommended it in the group too to like help the butterfly hugs?
Yeah, it's part of
you like tap yourself.
Yeah, it's part of
the tapping or is the hugging? Because I've heard of both.
Well, this is like the pressure, but I think butterfly tapping is when you like.
I think EMDR isn't the alternate padding, whether it's your shoulders or your. Okay.
Yes. You have to tap back and forth for EMDR, and basically what that's supposed to do is help your brain reprocess extreme trauma.
Yes. Okay.
It's not always as effective for autistic people as it is for non-autistic people. It can be very effective for some autistic people. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't do it. But there are different types of therapy that would be better. But you were saying, Lindsey?
Well, yeah, but there are components of different therapies that are helpful to people where it is you are applying pressure or tapping to different parts of your body. I mean, there's ways that, to stimulate your vagus nerve that are important to people. So your vagus nerve, they call it the vagal nerves, is the system, carries signals between your brain, your heart, your digestive system. They are a key component to your parasympathetic nervous system. So your vagus nerve, ways that you can help yourself when you are being like overstimulated or if you feel really kind of out of whack, your nervous system does. A lot of people will suggest like deep breathing exercises, especially like belly breathing or those like 4, 7, 8 counts, where it's like in through your nose, hold it, blow it out, that kind of stuff. All of that is to help regulate your vagus nerve. It's a lot of unpleasant symptoms when you get overstimulated is tied to that. So your dizziness, your nausea, your ringing of your ears, the sweating, to the point where like a lot of the physical manifestations of anxiety have to do with your parasympathetic, obviously, nervous system. And so your vagus nerve, some of the things that have helped me more than breathing, because I tend to, my little autistic brain will fixate on the breathing and then be like, how do I know how to breathe? Like, what if I were to stop breathing and like, or I, lose count, or it starts to make me breathe faster. So I will fixate, and it's less helpful for me.
I am
what
very
does
similar
help
to that.
Yeah, what does help me regulate my vagus nerve is hot and cold. So for me, that'll help with my nervous system, is to go stick my hands under really cold water. It's when they tell you splash some water on your face, right? Like when you get upset as children and your grandma would be like, okay, go put some cold water on your face. But it actually does help you. It kind of makes your nervous system and your body focus on something else. And so
that
I'll
helps
do
me
cold
with
and hot.
migraines.
Yeah. Sometimes sour things can be helpful to me, like just because like a lemon or, like a warhead candy or something, that it's like a weird little jolt to the system. And it's like, okay, we're going to snap out of this. Yeah, I tend to do a lot of regulation through temperature. I think, so there's so many different ways to learn to regulate yourself. I think you and I both wear, for multiple reasons, but we deal with like clothing a lot because it can be overstimulated. But like I wear compression clothing like a lot of the time, but it's on my lower regions. Part of that is the hypermobility, but part of it is like it also helps me feel, I don't know, like safer in my body. Like
that
the
is
tightness
why I wear tight skirts and shirts. It's not just because I'm a little slutty. It's also just like a regulation technique. I like wearing tight dresses. I like wearing things that fit my my body very tightly because it makes me feel better. It makes things easier for me to handle. I'm very much like, I'm learning since I've been with James, because I was single for a long, long time. I'm learning since being with James over the last year that I'm definitely a lot more touch like I need touch to help me calm down, like physical human touch, because literally just physically touching him, like whether it's the bonk or just him not even squeezing me, just wrapping his arms around me, it regulates my system. But when I didn't have a partner, I primarily relied on external ways to regulate my system, not a lot having to do with touch, but more having to do with, for me, exercise is a big component to my system regulation. If I am overwhelmed, a lot of the times lifting weights or working out on the elliptical, a lot of the times those help my system regulate. It don't know why, and it doesn't always work. That's important to note. That's because a lot of people get frustrated and don't realize that the same coping mechanism is not always going to work 2 days in a row. Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
even if it's the same thing that overstimulated you, the same coping mechanism might not work because you're a different person than you were yesterday.
Exactly.
That's true.
I love, like, it took a lot for me to get comfortable wearing kilts out in public, and I still struggle with that sometimes. If I felt comfortable doing it, I would wear leggings because I love them. They are the greatest thing. I started getting a pair a few years ago just like to try it because I would always wear like exactly like I didn't like my pants too baggy, but then the material would hurt if it was too tight. And so I tried leggings and I was like, oh my gosh, this is magic. This is the greatest thing. So like if I were like walking in the woods, I would wear leggings then. But then like I would never make videos because I just wasn't comfortable. I don't know. It's just I don't know. It's just
Might I suggest jeggings? Like, I know everybody hates on jeggings, but
yeah.
jeggings.
Oh, yeah. I'm so thankful that leggings and like athleisure wear became a thing because again, the physical sensations, the comfortability, the pressure levels are all things that I have the option to control now.
Yeah.
Whereas
Absolutely.
before, a lot of clothing styles that wasn't necessarily a possibility, right? Like,
I mean,
and
especially because you're plus size, so like the clothing options for plus size women are so different. There's not a lot of variety for you to be able to find that different sensory experience through your clothing.
oh yeah, I mean, and I'm mid-sized now.
You're mid-sized.
Well, no, I mean, and I kind of always was what considered mid-sized, but in the plus size community is a whole other thing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Like no, that we could talk about. But anyway, I will say yes, that is a huge frustration and area that for other autistic friends that the size of your body and obviously gender and things plays into a lot of the accessibility options when it comes to clothing, and that is really frustrating.
It is super frustrating because like I wear a 2X in some things and extra large or 2X, and in a lot of stores the variety drops once you go past a large. I don't know what it's like for women's wear, but for men's wear,
it's the same.
It drops off like. And if I need a 2X, it's kind of like I'm lucky if I can find something. And then my butt's big, so so the way most pants are cut doesn't fit me quite right because I what was on my waist goes in because of sensory issues. So it's gonna annoy me more than it might be a neurotypical man who's built like me might just be like, well, I'm just gonna wear it, just wear it and be fine. And I can't handle that. And I can't afford custom clothing. It also makes me think of the problem with uniforms, whether it's school uniforms or work uniforms. When you are told you have to wear a certain texture, a certain material, a certain look, and you have sensory issues, that the length I would have to go through when I first started having to wear like shirts and ties, like if I found a shirt I liked, I'd buy as many of that same fabric materials I could afford because I need the same texture on my skin. Like I'll get used to one thing. I can make myself get used to one material, and once it's got to stay that. And when it runs out of stock and they quit making that shirt or pant and I got to find something new, it's a nightmare. And I'm in a fitting room with 8 pairs of pants crying. And the person on the other side of the door, like, sir, can I help you with something? And I'm like, can you hug me?
And I feel like it's only getting worse with with the increased amount of online shopping and these Amazon dropship stores. I can't tell you how many times I have ordered something on it's not even just Amazon, it's like any website
Online.
like just online shopping. Like there are some stores that I do have great luck with, but so many times I will order something that looks like it's going to be cute, that looks like it's going to be fitting of my sensory needs, and then it gets here and it's that weird tent material.
Oh God, it's that
Ew.
slimy, that
like,
slimy parachute stuff.
That stuff is nasty.
It's so gross.
It is
so
the
gross.
worst texture. Not only is it ugly, but it's an awful texture to have on my body. So like that happened to me with this one store literally like 2 months ago. I paid $70 for a dress because it was supposed to be my anniversary outfit and I wanted to look really nice, and it shows up and it's falling apart already, pulled out of the bag, and it's the tent material. And that was what I was the most upset about, was that it was the cheap tent material, and that is becoming more and more common with fast fashion and these Amazon dropship websites because they want to make everything as cheap as possible, and that material is super affordable for them because it's like cents on the dollar.
Oh, because it's plastic. It melts in
Exactly.
the heat. It's just a sheet of plastic. It's so gross.
It's so bad. The other problem is the stitching. Because like, have you ever put something on and like the stitching is somehow exposed and it just feels like there's like needles up and down your body. And like, sorry.
No, we were talking about this stuff. That's what I started regulating, actually. So one of the things I do, and again, these are things where I've adapted. Actually, I don't know if y'all can see the curtains in my room and this headband that I'm holding is all a very soft, like crushed velvet velour, which some people hate. This is not like the crappy, the stiff velvet. This is very, very soft.
I love soft velvet.
And some people hate it, but to me, this is very calming. And so ways that I am able to self-soothe in situations is if I have a headband, a hair scrunchie, something that, doesn't stand out as like, oh, Lindsey has a stim toy, right? In a professional environment is like things like this. Like I would have this headband, but really it's for me to like self-soothe, because if I touch something really gross, like I have an adverse reaction to it, I have to touch something nice or else I will continue to feel the nasty sensation.
Yeah, it's like the memory of that.
Mm-hmm. And I wonder what that is, because it doesn't, like, the memory of that bad sensory issue stays, and it feels like you're still experiencing it. And
right, I have to replace
that I
it.
don't understand, because it's like, okay, that happened like 10 minutes ago. I accidentally scratched the car with my nails, and I can feel it right now, and it somehow dysregulates me as much as in the moment. I'm like literally squeezing my thigh right now because it helps me. But another one of the physical sensations that I like to look for is they make pillows, carpets, blankets, but it's this like almost fur texture, like long, loose fur kind of hair texture. I don't know why that soothes me so much. I actually had a rug in my apartment that a certain someone that I'm dating made me throw out because it was gross and disgusting, like it was dirty. But I wanted to still keep it because it was made of that material. And another way I used to center myself is I would just lay down on that rug in my living room. I would lay down and it would help me feel better because it's that safe texture.
I just love how normal this is for the three of us, because again, if I tried to have this conversation with, with like a group of your average coworkers, they'd be like, yeah, there's one thing I don't like, but like, why are you? they're like, why are you physically cringing, Lindsey? Why are you like, getting red in the face and nauseous? Like, again, the level of sensitivity that we have is tends to be much higher or much lower. It's not just a little bit. It tends to be very extreme.
And again, it feels like it lives in our bodies because like it really just, I don't understand the physical like biology behind it and why we are still experiencing the sensory issue after it is done, because it's not like, oh, I'm just sitting in that emotional place. It's like, no, I still feel it in my
Yeah,
arm.
we
I
we
feel a bad
relive it.
sensation.
Yeah, no, I was talking
Exactly.
with a student who had gone through something, and the student was like, telling me about it and was like getting really amped up, and the student tried to apologize. Like, no, I don't apologize. I understand that because you're not just remembering, you are reliving. And it's like, for example, my partner is an amazing cook, amazing. Really only made like one bad dish, but it was so bad. And I'll talk about it sometimes, and she'll be like, "Why are you like?" Because for me, when I start talking about it, I am remembering the texture and and just um, it like I relive the whole thing, and
I mean, you're doing it
it's
now.
like yes, yes. It's like, and so I don't know the why, but it seems like for some of us, I don't want to say all of us. Like if you don't experience this does not mean you're not autistic. And that's not the point here. But I have seen this where the memory is more than just relating the experience. It's like I am feeling it in my nerve endings wherever I experience that in my mind or my body, I will re-feel those sensations and my nervous system will react again to whatever to it as though it is happening right now. It is not their time no longer matters. I don't know if you guys have ever like, recalled something from 20 years ago or 10 years ago. I don't know how old y'all are. As if it had just happened. Like you said, like that feeling on your skin,
Yes.
it happened 10 minutes ago. It happened an hour ago. It happened a year ago. And yet, if that memory comes back up, your body's like, oh, we're replaying the whole thing. And like, no, I just want to talk about it. I don't need to feel oh, no, I passed out.
It's like being in, okay, I know Riki definitely with going to Disneyland has done this. Have you ever been in those like sensory theater experiences where like stuff, you feel like a spritz of water or the seat shakes, or like so it's not just something that you're watching, you're feeling it, right? I feel like sometimes for autistic people, our memories are not just us replaying it visually, it is the full sensory experience. It's like being in
Yes.
that theater, feeling all the things.
Yes. I hate those theaters, by the way. Um,
Me too. I don't like them either.
I hate most of them. Some I'm good with. Most I'm like, please do not.
I think I've only done it a couple of times. I think that so I didn't get to go because I had to work, but my partner and the kids went to Florida. Yeah, whatever the other Disney place is, and there
Disney
was
World,
like
World.
yeah, in Florida.
okay, and they went to like there was like a thing from like the movie Avatar, James Cameron's Avatar, and there was like this
Oh yeah.
ride thing that they
It's
did.
yeah, it's the flight, first flight or something like that. It's
Yeah,
where
yeah.
you're.
Like I feel like I probably would have loved that, mainly because I love the
It's
movie.
really
But
nice.
so I think it depends on what
It's
it
very
is.
immersive.
Yeah.
One of the
There's
coolest things about that one is that because it's supposed to give you the sensation of being on one of the like the flying creatures in the Avatar movie. You're on like a roller coaster, or not roller coaster. You're on like a motorcycle shaped seat, and between your legs they have this mechanism that replicates the animal breathing. So, like, if you're autistic like we are, you can hear the slight sound in the film of the animal breathing the entire time, and you can feel it. that was just a really nice touch from the Imagineers. But you might really like that if you're interested in like those sensory seeking type activities in a safe space that also are very immersive.
The only sensory seeking, like theatrical kind of thing that I did enjoy was in Las Vegas, some of their slot machine games have extra sensory experiences with them. So not all of them, it's just a few. They had a Lord of the Rings game that I played. And not only do you get the bells and the whistles and like, you know, the different animations and things that really trigger dopamine, especially if you're ADHD, right? There's a lot of, they've done the psychology on purpose. Yes. So Riki, Lord of the Rings. Okay. So not only is it that, but like as you're like riding with, you know, the riders from Rohan,
the
or
riders
wherever,
of Rohan, the
Rohan.
Rohirrim.
Yes. You're in this seat for the game. Like the chair is connected to it. It's kind of more like playing a video game, but it's gambling. And you feel like, okay, we're going, like you get excited, like the chair is like, we're going in. Like, so
That's kind of cool.
yeah, that was a fun sensory experience because that felt, they have like more video game stuff like that. Like if you go to like Dave and Buster's or like a fancier arcade, and that was like, oh, okay, I like this.
I went to the Aquarium of the Pacific recently, and they had one of those things, but it was like a VR. It was like a VR thing where you could immerse yourself, and the specific, you could choose your own adventure. And of course, the adventure that I chose was you could go visit sharks, and it was like it was filmed. It was filmed on a 360-degree camera of divers actually going and finding a tiger shark was their goal. They wound up coming across a hammerhead, which is the best kind of shark. Don't at me. I have it tattooed on my body for a reason. But it was so immersive, and they like replicated the feeling of bubbles and things like that. And I could turn around and like I would see the actual ocean. I would see what's behind me. There was a tiger shark behind me that I went in, that I looked at and saw. And it was so cool. It was one of those kinds of experiences that I think involve like special interests or things like that. I think that those are more doable for autistic people as opposed to like the Shrek 4D kind of ride that they had at Universal Studios.
The surprise, the gotcha, like, whoo, no.
Yeah. And it's like that's why I don't really like the rides at Universal Studios too much, because they rely so heavily on like the water squirting, the 4D, the 3D, like they throw everything at your senses to distract you. Whereas the ones that like Lindsey you're talking about, or the ones like the Avatar First Flight thing, those are not designed to distract you, but are genuinely designed to make you feel as though you are there.
Yeah,
and I
like
think that
immersing you in the
two entirely,
experience.
yeah. One is trying to make you feel something different than the other. One is trying to show off. The other is actually like, you're here.
Yeah. It's like the motorcycle arcade games where you actually are on the motorcycle and you're leaning to turn, and you know, like I like things, I like immersive things. If immerse me in what I am doing, but if the point is to surprise me or to shock me, like there's a ride at Busch Gardens where it's like, you know, similar to a car ride, and you're outside and the roller coaster goes inside and the lights go out, and then the whole track drops about 6 inches. And I did not know this. And a friend of mine got me to go on the ride, and I was screaming so loud. I was like trying to, like, it was the hardest. I had the hardest time controlling that meltdown because I knew I wasn't in a safe place to fully melt down, but I was not ready for that. And I actually thought it was broken because I have, like, even though I've ridden roller coasters, there is this fear in the back of my head that it's going to break. Because I know just enough I don't know a lot about physics and centrifugal force and stuff like that, but I know just enough to know what would happen if things go wrong. Plus, I've watched most of the Final Destination movies, and that ruins you for anything like a roller coaster.
Yeah,
it does. That
Final
scarred
Destination
millennials for
3.
life. We will never be okay.
And you know, I do feel because I had a similar but slightly more enjoyable experience when I rode Rise of the Resistance and Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland for the first time, because there is a part where it does take you into like it is a trackless ride, so you are moving around through an actual environment, until this one part where it takes you into like a virtual screen kind of thing to replicate what it's about to do. And there's a part in that scene because you're supposed to be on an escape pod. That's the whole idea. And you're supposed to be escaping this ship that is about to blow up. And you watch on the screen 3 other pods exactly like yours drop to launch. And I had this experience where like I had a second before it happened, I realized, oh no, we're going to drop. And then it drops you like a good 3 feet because the whole, it's trying to like distract you from the fact because you rise up on an elevator at one point and it's just trying to distract you from the fact that it's taking you back down to the ground level. It's only a small drop before it just gets into like the Star Tours kind of ride. But that panic of, oh no, that's going to happen. I think the only reason I didn't melt down, because that would usually cause me to melt down. I think the only reason I didn't was because I felt so immersed in something that is my special interest, because both Star Wars and Disneyland are huge special interests for me. And that ride really does replicate feeling like you're inside of oh my God, the Empire ships that I can't remember off the top of my head. So people are going to call me a fake Star Wars fan, but when it really does replicate that feeling. Like there's an entire room of AT-ATs that are life-sized AT-ATs. So like, because I was in that safe space of my special interest, I didn't feel like I had the balance of being able to surround myself with things that do relax me along with something that overstimulates me. But at the same time, that will not always work. Like I can barely ride Space Mountain anymore, which used to be one of my favorite rides, but it now overstimulates me too much no matter what. And even though I'm in Disneyland, my special interest, I can't regulate instantly the same way I could with Galaxy's Edge.
Well, and one of the things too, one is, yes, having a special interest in something does make things usually a little bit easier for us to like handle. But also, I know, I mean, and this was mentioned in our group and stuff when people were like, okay, well, preparation, right? Ahead of time, preparing yourself, researching all the things, like practicing, that can help you get through some of these sensory experiences. I will say that doesn't always work though, because it's helpful. It is very helpful. I am somebody who alleviates my anxiety with research. So I learn every single thing about everything I can about something. So I recently traveled to Iceland, which was a huge dream of mine, bucket list experience. That like I have been thinking about preparing for like, I don't know, half my life. Okay. So I have read every single book that there is about Iceland. I have listened to every podcast, everything. One, because again, it was I wouldn't say it was a special interest, but it definitely was a hyperfixation. It's something that I was very passionate about. And I, even though ADHD tends to rule the roost, I tend to be very chaotic and I don't actually plan ahead very well. I got real autistic about this trip, and like I said, I like super duper research. So I like had an appointment scheduled months. I had to schedule everything months ahead of time, sometimes a year ahead of time, right? To get to do some of these things. But Iceland is known for their sweaters and their wool. They have Icelandic sheep. They're known for a lot of things. Okay. Volcanoes and ice, the glaciers, obviously. But Icelandic wool is like this thing, and that everybody goes and you specifically buy, you know, hats, gloves, sweaters that are made in Iceland from this Icelandic wool. And there are different like handcrafted things that you could get. And so I got an appointment for this particular like guild of women who handcraft these products, or people who handcraft these Icelandic wool products. And I was so excited. Like I planned this all ahead. I budgeted. I was like, I'm going to get this stuff. And the minute that I touched it, it is the most nope texture I have ever felt in my life. I hate it. I hate it so much. It's awful. So like, it's one of those things where I was like, nope, never mind. I had to leave the store. I was like, this hurts me. I have to go. Man. Like, I can't. And it was like, so like, I literally have been planning and waiting for a year to do this. And immediately was like, nope. And then I like tried to touch, I was like, maybe it's just this one. And so then it was like, I tried to touch something else and I was like, no, it is all bad. I had to leave the store. I was sweating. I was so uncomfortable. So I learned, nope, I am a synthetic girly. Like I need there to be a mix of things. I can do like Angora or something, but no, this wonderful Icelandic sheep's wool is a nightmare sensory experience for me. So I bought some gifts for people, but like I was like, can you put those in the bag for me? And then the bag went in my suitcase. I did not touch what was inside of it.
You know what really sucks? When you have a sensory issue, but you have to come in contact with it all the time. A lot of people know I'm an actor. And when you go to an audition, you have to bring in headshots that are industry standard. And unfortunately, industry standard headshots are the worst sensation for me ever. I struggle with like pictures, like photograph paper in general. Non-glossy is easier. It's still not the best, but I can handle it. But glossy, I can't handle the sound of it. I can't handle the touch of it. And when I was in my final semester for acting, we had to bring in our headshots all the time to our teachers so that they could critique them and let us know if we needed to do better. And every single time I would come in with like salad gloves on and like hand them to my teachers, and everybody would make fun of me. And I'm like, listen, I am making this accessible to myself. You can make fun of my salad gloves, but I am going to function in class and I'm going to pass this thing. And it's just awful. And
that's like me with metal water bottles, and they're all the rage. Everyone has them. That you go some places, they're like, well, this is environmentally friendly, and that's all they have. And I'm like, I can't. The sound, the touch, I taste a difference. I cannot do any metal containers for water. I mean, like I'm over here with my mason jar. But I know other autistic people who glass gives them the heebie-jeebies. And so
certain kinds of glass.
I remember being on like a live with a friend of mine, and the whole time they've got a metal cup, and it drove me nuts. But they were like, the glass cup is their kryptonite. So it didn't last very long. The two of us were like, I don't know if we could talk to each other right now because we're both torturing each other.
I feel that way about to-go coffee cups.
Does anyone else feel that way about paper straws? I can't.
I don't like paper straws. They
even
fall
the
apart. They
recycled
disintegrate.
ones.
They disintegrate in your mouth.
Or the recycled ones that feel bumpy. Do you know what I'm talking about? Whatever the other thing is that they've moved over to, I was like, it's like sandpaper plastic.
Another thing though that like is really hard as an autistic person is when your own body creates a sensation that overstimulates you. Like I said, I work out a lot, and that can be very soothing for me. But when I do cardio, there are some times when my body just decides we're going to really sweat. Like lately, I have been sweating a lot more than I usually do. And my own sweat can be very overstimulating for me. Specifically, when and it's just one spot, well, two spots, because like I don't like it when it dips into my eyes, but that's just not a sensory issue, that's just painful. But when the sweat from my arms drips down to my elbow, that overstimulates me so much, and I don't want to stop working out because that's regulating me from other issues related to my autism. But that part just it overstimulates me so much.
It's valid. For me, it's not.
I'm kind of allergic to that, to my own sweat now. I break out into hives if I get hot and sweaty now.
Lindsey, are you just allergic to living?
This is I mean, my fellow autoimmune warrior over here, I think Eryk and we've just had the fun experience where when you have autoimmune conditions, yes, your own body, and it's very highly comorbid. Autoimmune conditions are highly comorbid with autistics. Yeah. Part of it is my brain and body overreact to things. That, you know, like when they talk about, you know, with ADHD, it's just like your neurons are just firing. And then when we get sensory overwhelmed with being autistic, it's like our nerves are just like firing, firing, firing. And then, so my body does that. Yeah. With other things so I think my whole brain and my body just are overreactive all the time.
Well, I don't know. My argument is the world is a very unsafe, messed up place, and most people are just willing to put up with it. And my body is just like, no, no. Soap has to be, I've used certain soaps. If I use the wrong kind of soap, then I will break out. If I have the wrong fabric and I sweat, then I will break out. And my argument is I don't think it's good for anybody. But yeah, my own body will, it's like constantly in self-destruct mode. But like for me, my tinnitus is the one that will drive me crazy because it will, if it's persistent and I can't drown it out, or sometimes I fixate on it. Like you ever your body do something, like you said with the sweat, and then you fixate on it. And so now it doesn't matter what strategy you employ because that's all you can hear or see or feel, or like the body, hearing your body make noises or whatever, like if I just eat, then I'm in a meeting and the room's too quiet and I can hear myself digesting and it's like driving me nuts. And I'm like trying to somehow will my internal organs to stop moving because everybody can hear me breathing and digesting and they can hear my heart pumping because I can hear it and that's all I can hear or feel. And that, and then I start panicking about that. And then, I'm sick the next day because I somehow managed to get myself all worked up. And I liked what you said, Riki, earlier about how like every strategy doesn't work all the time. And that's and I even talk about that, like, when I do share strategies that I use, whether it's like I have a basket of STEM toys here and I have a drawer of STEM toys at work. And then one of the things I have is like, it's like one of those sand weighted discs for exercise, but I will press it against my chest because for some reason, right, whatever that is, people that know bodies.
Sternum.
Thank you. My sternum, for some reason, that's a regulating spot for me. That's why I like
Vagus nerve.
really,
Oh, it's
that's
that
why I
vagus nerve
like,
again.
that's why I like firm hugs. And I'll just press that against my chest really hard. And it's really great. Or like my oldest child, he's 18 and like he's really strong. So like I can like squeeze him. Like I need to squeeze somebody and I'll go find him. And because this is what I need. Another thing is I have one here and I have one at work. It's a 8-pound medicine ball and I'll just toss it. But because it takes extra effort, it feels like I'm throwing it really hard, even though it only goes up like, a foot because I'm weak. But I get the
That's a really good
sensation of
strategy.
hurling something, but because it's heavy, it doesn't go very far. And then I can catch it and I just will toss it back and forth. And it helps me get that nervous energy out. And the party that just wants to throw stuff, I'm getting to throw something because it's so heavy, it barely goes anywhere. And
so it's not destructive, because this is
yeah,
the thing with a lot of sensory things can set off autistic people, and then we can have meltdowns or other behaviors that are not safe, either for ourselves, for the objects, or the people around us. And so, yes, coming up with a sensory stimulating activity or object, some sort of coping strategy that is safer than the one that you really want to do, is super helpful. Riki and I have both talked about when we feel the need to like break things, to shatter things, that we will throw ice cubes. I do it outside. Sometimes you've done it in like your bathtub or something,
Yeah,
Riki.
I usually do it outside. Like if you don't have like when I lived in an apartment, I had to use the bathtub a lot just because I didn't have like a yard or a balcony or anything like that. But the med ball thing, whenever I am dysregulated at the gym, my trainer will always take me into the private training room and she'll tell me, just toss that med ball around. Just do it. Do some med ball slams. Not put that thing. Do what you got to do. And that, for some reason, the sensation, like you said, of that med ball, of that pressure of it being so heavy, even if it doesn't go far, it is very regulating. Like med ball exercises are some of my favorites because sometimes, depending on it, like if you're doing chest press with a med ball, it activates that vagus nerve that Lindsey was talking about in the sternum. But when when you throw it and you toss it, it's a safe destructive thing, like Lindsey was talking about.
Yeah, I mean, ripping cardboard, like going to your recycling bin and ripping up things, that are thicker, like something like this that have like a lot of pieces of papers, like magazines or things. That can also be like a helpful destructive experience, but again, avoids you destroying things that really matter.
I definitely could see how it's helpful. I think I'm thinking of it as like, I was thinking of it like as a parent and as a teacher, because of like, I was thinking of kids. Sometimes I forget I'm talking to adults and I start drifting into like, oh
well, no, that's the
no.
thing though, is
Anyway,
a lot of parents, this is what's one of the wonderful things about, if anybody's interested in joining the Asking Autistics, our Facebook community group, is that we have a lot of allistic family members, parents, caregivers, teachers, who come in and want to know these things. And they're like, hey, here's what my student or my child is dealing with. And we are able to crowdsource as a group. Okay, here's ways I've dealt with it. Here's like alternatives that are safer. We just had a really great conversation about using foods as a sensory experience, as a self-stim. And somebody was like, I need some replacement foods because they are at a it's affecting their physical health now, that they've realized like, oh, this is very dangerous. They are morbidly obese, and it's the doctors are like, you can't do this anymore, but they crave that crunch, that sensory. So jewelry, which is a great tool for biters. If you need to bite something, they make like little silicone jewelry kind of objects that you can chew on. I used to have one up here actually on my desk. I had a little spatula, like a little thin silicone spatula, because I love the way it feels. And there are moments when like I just need to like chew on something. My friend Courtney calls it like wolfing out, like werewolfing. Like you just need to like
big ice chewer myself. I have one of those like ice makers that's like, it doesn't make too thick of ice, which is why I don't use it as much for like the ice throwing stuff anymore, and I rely on mostly the gym and med ball. But when I do need to chew something, it's the really tiny like Sonic ice that everyone's like, it's the good stuff. So it doesn't, like, if it breaks, it's not painful, and it's a little bit easier to crunch, but it still has that crunchiness. Or if I'm like, I really need a flavor, I chew gum. I have a couple of safe flavors of gum, and that helps satisfy that need to like eat or have some sort of texture or like some sort of sensory experience through taste. Gum and ice are my friends.
Those are great options.
I like leaves.
Like chewing on them?
Yeah, so I try not to chew on
but
I try not to chew on leaves I find in nature, because that can backfire. But like, but I will eat like I'll just eat like a handful of spinach, or like those greens you get from the store, like when they're fresh, because it's like or kale, because it's like it's crunchy and the texture, and for some reason it is so satisfying. And I don't really care for the flavor, to be honest with you, but for some reason I like the texture of leaves. And I've had to like sometimes like bring lettuce with me on my walks in the woods, because I have just taken leaves off trees and put them in my mouth. I'm like a toddler. And
it's so hard. I chew on so many things, and that's why, like I said, like I literally, I found it. It's dusty now because it fell on the floor.
I was gonna say, it was just wandering around on the floor, just found it creeping by.
Wash that.
No, it fell on the floor, so I'm not gonna put it in my mouth because it's covered in dust. I'm covered in dust now. Oh my god.
Well, quick public service announcement. The washing thing, yes, wash your fidgets, wash your jewelry, put an alarm or something, or ask a safe person to remind you to wash them, because I have things I put in my mouth and I'll forget anyway.
This is really gross, but it has bite marks all over it. This is the only reason this is here, is because I will need to bite something.
One of the worst and probably most unsanitary ones that I used to have, I have found ways around it now because it's not a safe sensory experience. I used to chew on pennies. There was
they taste so good. But don't do that, people.
metal.
Sorry, that was not helpful.
No,
Do it.
I know. Okay, so pica and again, it fits into a lot of this sensory stuff, but also chewing on things and certain, metal and dirt. Like I've had friends who like those are things that they have to be careful about. I have a friend who forgot like their child loves to lick salt. They had to stop going to some restaurants because they would take the salt shaker off the table, and that doesn't go over well. There's a lot of things that they had to work on because they had the constant craving for salt in multiple sensory ways. Well, they forgot, I guess, because he's older now as a teen, or didn't put it together. I guess not that they forgot, but didn't think about it and got one of those salt rock lamps in their house. She was like, oh, this is so cute. It's going to go here. And then realized like a few weeks later, I thought that was much bigger when I bought it.
Oh.
Yes. Her child had been licking and biting and eating the salt lamp and then she couldn't get mad because he was like, you knew about this. You knew about the pica.
That's a good point.
She was like, you're right. That was my bad. I was dying. I was like, this is amazing. But also now I know that I can't have a salt lamp in my house because I would do the same thing. I would eat that lamp.
Luckily, I'm not a salt girly. Like, I love salt. Don't get me wrong. I love it in food, but the taste of too much salt definitely overstimulates me. But
it's jarring, but I like it. Like you said, you like the penny taste.
Yeah.
I would lick a salt rock.
So like the penny taste, it was like both the taste, but also the way it would like make my teeth taste a little metallic. Like the remnants of it. And it was specifically copper.
Yeah, it's the copper.
I still did that like well into my adulthood. I haven't done it in years, thank God. Mostly because I never find pennies anymore.
They don't make them out of copper anymore. That's why there's no copper.
Oh, I didn't know that. But yeah.
Obviously, sensory issues, whether it is sensory seeking behaviors or it is sensory avoidant behaviors that we have, is a really common experience in the autistic community. So thank you for listening to all of our weird things. Hopefully people aren't, experiencing all the bad tingles. But again, you can find Asking Autistics everywhere on YouTube, all social media platforms, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, all of that stuff. I am Lindsey Brains and Spoons. You can find me as Brains and Spoons everywhere.
I am Rebecca Faith Quinn, and you can find me not chewing on pennies. And also a Ribera Bonbon.
And I am Eryk. You can find me on TikTok and YouTube at ERYYKC. And I am going to go chew on some leaves because now I have to bite something because we talked about chewing things for so much. I got to go chew on something before I no, seriously. The other day I was talking with a friend of mine who's
I'm going to go wash this.
Whose child was making biting motions, and I started chewing on my hand, and they looked at me like, what? It's like, I have to, because now that's all I'm thinking about. Anyway, you guys are awesome.
Thank you so much. We will chat with you again soon. Thanks everybody for watching and listening. All right. Bye.
Bye.